My name is Thomas. I'm an advisor for the Center for Careers and Teaching at Cal State Fullerton. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about sort of the pathways that we have to our teaching credential program, as well as some programs, and then some things you can do going forward. If you can, please just scan this QR code or type in the link and just sign in real quick. This will just allow us to follow up with you if we need to send you any information afterwards, whatever it may be. So just take a second to fill that out for me, please.
Excuse me, Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Quick question. When we sign in with our email address with the URL that you provided, do you want our personal or our student email?
Right now, it's just whichever one you check most, that's easiest for you to access.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I'm going to move on to this in a second. If you have not been able to finish it up, I'm just going to go ahead and type out the link and put it in the chat. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. Again, so just a little bit of an agenda. I want to talk a little bit about our team, who we are, what we bring to the table, again, some credential programs, pathways, and then just a little bit of more us, what you need to do. And then I'll take some time for some questions afterwards if you guys have any.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we have a pretty solid team, a full team now of advisors. There's me, I am the Transfer and Black Student Success Advisor. We have Melissa Baez, who is the advisor for urban learning, the first ever major under our College of Education. Lupe Garcia, another advisor who also runs Men of Color in Education, and also the recruitment and retention coordinator. Juven Romero, he runs Project Propel, a program for future bilingual teachers, also an advisor. Lily Quinones, who runs Titan Future Teachers, which is the biggest program under the Center for Careers and Teaching umbrella. And then our director, Heather Terry. All right, so a little bit about our space and what we do. The Center for Careers and Teaching is an actual physical space located on the campus. It's called the Education Classroom. We're on the 3rd floor. So what we do is we just provide a space for students who are interested in becoming teachers. So we offer a study space for you guys to hang out at. Pre-printing, if you don't have your own paper, it's fine. Sometimes we'll give you guys your paper if you need to print out anything for your own classwork, or if it's any kind of documents, anything like that. It's also where we do our GE and teacher pathway advising. It's the hub for that. Academic planning for future teachers. Information on current California teacher prep requirements. Those change every few years or so. Luckily, they make things a bit easier, but because there are more pathways, it requires a bit more advising to figure out what's the optimal path for you. And then specific program requirements for our credential program. Each school just has a little bit, there's some variance in the requirements, prerequisites for each school, how it's structured. And so we make sure that students are prepared to transition from an undergraduate at Fullerton to a student in the credential program. Also follow us on Instagram at CSUF_CCT for any kind of updates on the center or even teacher preparation. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the pathway to teaching, right? In a general sense, what you need to become a teacher is a bachelor's degree in any subject and a credential, all right? In a general sense, I would say you can get any credential with really any degree. There are ways to kind of streamline it where, let's say you wanted to teach English, the easiest way to get there would be to major in English. That would waive a bunch of extra tests you need to do. If you want to teach math, you would major in math, and that'd be a way to streamline getting into the math credential program, right? It would also waive a bunch of testing for you. So that's where our advising comes in. It's a bit different from what you would get from your major advisor. who would help you out with setting you up on your classes for each semester. And what we do is on the back end, try to fill out your schedule with a couple courses that would help prepare you for prerequisites for the teaching credential program. All right. And once you get your bachelor's degree, our credential program is 2 semesters. And that's whether you're going for any one of our credentials, whether that's the multiple subject, if you want to teach K through 8, the single subject, if you want to teach high school, or for special education, which ranges from age 0 to 22. All right, so a little bit about us, why or what makes our teaching credential program so distinct. It's our commitment to JEIE, a just, equitable, and inclusive education environment, right? So what does that mean for us? It's not just preparing teachers in a vacuum. And what I mean by that is not just preparing them without any sort of consideration for the kind of world that the students we're going to be teaching or growing up in, right? And so our commitment to JEIE, it's incorporated in the curriculum. It's incorporated with the faculty that we have. It's a top-down sort of thing that makes sure that we're providing equitable sort of training for our future teachers, right? And this extends to our relationship with over 70 districts, right? We are all the only Cal State in Orange County. And our commitment to JEIE is tied into this because we have ties with certain school districts. I know Yorba Linda is one of them because they did not believe in the teaching of critical race theory, CRT, right? And so I think that just shows the dedication that Fullerton has to making sure our teachers are prepared to go into environments where they're teaching Black and Latino children and are aware of the sort of historical background that would make education, that has made education more of a disadvantaged situation for them, right? So our credential programs, like I said, a 2-semester program that's following your bachelor's degree, and it includes pedagogy, study of how to teach and student teaching, right? I'm not super intimate with the structure of every single Cal State or every university's program, but I know with us in the general sense, what we do is we make sure that you have your content knowledge, that you know your subject matter well enough before you're able to get into the credential program, right? And that makes it so that once you are in the credential program, you're not worried about learning a little bit of multiple subjects if you're going to K through 8. You're not worried about learning English or math or history / social sciences. You're just worried about how to teach those subjects. And so it makes it so you can just kind of hone in on becoming a teacher and not worry about the sort of content aspect of it too, right? So these are our programs at Cal State Fullerton. Again, the multiple subject credential, which is if you want to teach K through 8. The single subject, if you want to teach high school or middle, and so middle school is a bit of a gray area where a couple of the credentials can facilitate a career there. And then special education, which is all grade levels for ages 0 to 22, and it's classroom based on disability specialty. What we're hoping for in fall of 2027, because there is a lot of interest in it, is a PK3 early childhood education specialist instruction credential. If you are interested in that, let me know afterwards when you get my contact information, and I can put you on an interest list that'll send you any sort of updates related to the program. All right. So a little bit about major recommendations for future teachers. All right. Again, just to emphasize, there's no required major for the teaching credential program. We all advise students all the time who come from, I guess you could say, the non-traditional majors. Students who major in psych, students who major in criminal justice, we're trying to figure out, for example, with those two, it's pretty common, how to get a social sciences credential so that you can teach history or econ or geography or whatever it might be, right? And so we're well versed in figuring out pathways for students who come from all sorts of backgrounds, right? So back to the major recommendations, urban learning, which is starting to take transfers beginning in fall 2026, right? Single subject, like I said earlier, just choose a major that aligns with the subject that you want to teach. Is the easiest way to get into the program and get your credential. And for special education, urban learning is also one that facilitates it as well. There are other pathways, Holland adolescent studies with the elementary school setting, liberal studies with the same sort of emphasis. Where are the two other ones besides urban learning for future elementary or special education teachers? That would way testing and kind of streamline your way into their credential program. All right, so I do want to talk a little bit more about urban learning. It's our newest major, one that we're really proud of and that we're trying to get out there just because of how well we think it works for the students that you guys will end up teaching in the future. All right. So urban learning is an undergraduate major for students who are interested in working in schools or community organizations, ones that want to become an elementary or special education teacher, right? So why is it called urban learning? It primarily concentrates on schools and communities in urban environments, right? Think urban, think areas near big cities. So we're talking preparing teachers to teach in cities that are in LA County, cities that are in Orange County, right? Preparing future teachers for urban related issues. And most teachers who graduate from our programs work in urban areas, right? Um, so tying this into, we'll get into programs for a little bit. One of the programs that we have, Titan Future Teachers, it's a mix of professional development and social. So one of the professional development sessions that we had or workshops was from a teacher, a faculty member who teaches a class in the Credential program for multiple subjects. And he was teaching, or he was talking about how to teach math in a culturally responsive way, right? And so that's what I think of when I think of urban learning, is doing that just as an undergraduate, right? Learning about the historical sort of context and background of education. Learning about the sort of disadvantages, about how, let's say, for example, Black and Latino students are disciplined at a higher rate than students of other ethnicities. Or the variance in resources that are available in different schools, right? And how that affects how students learn. Just the general availability of resources. I know me personally, being a substitute teacher for Long Beach Unified for a few years, being a sub, you get to see the variance in schools in different areas and neighborhoods. And I was able to see just how disadvantaged certain students were, right? And it didn't have anything to do with how ambitious they were, how focused they were, or anything like that. They were just working behind a set of obstacles, barriers that other students just didn't, right? And what you also realize is that there's a lot of teachers who just don't have that understanding, who don't have that context. And that's a fundamental sort of understanding they need to have if you want to get the most out of the students. And so I think that's what urban learning is really great at, is giving teachers, future teachers, that sort of context and understanding. Okay. So this is just a sample of some of the classes you would take in your pathway from an urban learning admit to an urban learning graduate. A critical race theory course, right? Learning how race, gender, contextuality, and more shape the law, using CRT to uncover inequality built into legal systems. Intro to career studies, structural and institutional biases in schools, just equitable and inclusive classrooms, right? So you can see, just looking at this sample of classes in the urban learning major, it's really tackling biases, really tackling inequality, and trying to figure out how we can make our classrooms as future teachers more just, more equitable, and more fair for everyone in our classes. All right. And slides kind of flip-flop, so this one should have came right after. But if you want more information on urban learning, you can contact Melissa Baez. She's the friendliest advisor we have if you will ever talk to her. So you can always contact her and she'll be quick with the answer. Yeah, M.E. Baez at Fullerton.edu. There's an urban learning interest form. You scan this QR code. You can also find out more about them by going to our website, fullerton.edu/urban, or on Instagram, THUF_urban learning. All right, so now I want to go a little bit into what you could do now as a Rio Hondo student to prepare you for the courses that would help you at Fullerton, right? So if you're a multiple subject candidate, probably already know this, but I just want to have this here just for reference. EDEL 315, that is one of the 2 prerequisite courses for our multiple subject program. At least prerequisites relating to pedagogical work, teaching how to be a teacher, right? The equivalent to EDEL 315, which is what's called at Cal State Fullerton, is ED 110 at Rio Hondo. All right. For students who might be interested in transitioning to urban learning, you can get a head start on that by passing CD 106 or Psychology 157. Both of those courses articulate to CAS 101, which is a major requirement for urban learning. And then you have Child Development 110, which is the equivalent at Cal State Fullerton of Child and Adolescent Studies 201, right? So the ethnic studies requirement, this is a prerequisite for all 3 of the credentials that we offer: multiple subject, single subject, and the special education credential. it's the prerequisite. So if you take history, if you pass history of 158 or 159, that would equate to African American Studies / Asian American Studies / Chicano Studies 190. Sorry, I think I misplaced the PDF. That should have been in the urban learning courses slide only. So disregard that. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about special programs for future teachers. Give me 1 second while I check the chat to see if there's any questions. Cool. All right, Titan future teachers. Like I said, this is the biggest group that we have. I think a program like this is really important when you understand that future teachers really come from all kinds of subjects, right? The future math teachers are going to be majoring in math a lot of times. Same with the English teachers, they'll be majoring in their department. Child adolescent studies, it's maybe a little bit less variance, but there still are a handful of majors where they come from. On top of that, teaching in a general sense compared to, I guess, other professions, one that people pivot to more often. So again, you have a lot of students that come from non-traditional backgrounds. And so what Titan Future Teachers does is brings together all those students to build connections with mentors, with peers. Like I said, workshops where we have faculty members, sometimes financial aid representatives. We just try to make sure students get a little bit of everyone who's an expert in something that might matter to them going forward in their journey as future teachers. Another fun one we did, I wasn't here, but I was hired after this, but they did have a puppy therapy. Just as a little sort of fun break from all the chaotic things that will go on once you first transfer here. So yeah, I love TFT. It's a really dope community. Skanda, if you're interested, if you're thinking about coming to Fullerton, I highly recommend it for anyone that's even considering teaching even a little bit. I think it's a really good way just to connect in a general sense and find community on a campus that's as big as ours. The next one we have is MCE, Men of Color in Education, right? So this one, when I'm talking about this in person, I like to ask the audience to think of how many Black and Latino males you had as teachers from kindergarten through 12th grade, right? I'll prompt the audience on that, and then I'll ask them to demonstrate how many that they've had by holding their hand. A lot of times you'll get 2, 3, 0, right? And these are a lot of students who grew up in Orange County, who grew up in LA County, in urban areas where there are more Black and Latino males than there would be in other parts of America, right? Even me, someone who grew up in the community that was mostly Black and brown, I had zero full-time teachers that were Black or Latino males, right? And so if you compound that with the idea of, and I'll follow this up by asking them, well, when's the first time you saw a Black or Latino man on campus? A lot of times it ends up being the campus aide, right? The guy who tells you to take off your hat, guys that tell you to take off headphones to get to class, right? So if you combine the two, the association a lot of students of color, a lot of men of color are making when they're going through grade school, whether it's conscious or not, is, well, the white people are here to teach me, and everyone else, the Black and Latino men, they're here to discipline me, right? So if that's the association you have growing up with education, with educators, it would make sense that there wouldn't be a lot of men of color in education, right? That's just one part. There's a whole host of other factors that go into the demographic of teachers in a general sense, and even California looking like what they do. And so we try to address all of that in MCE. It's structured a bit similarly to Titan Future Teachers. Titan Future Teachers is ran every other Friday for an hour. Men of Color in Education is 3 hours once a month, every Thursday, where the first hour we just check in with the guys, see how they're doing. The second hour will be dedicated to some kind of either professional development or just addressing something that they might need help with. We kind of with our last programming, I think this is where I cut off. If not, you let me know after, and I can go back. So SETA, this is the only programming that we have that's not ran by any sort of staff member. This is ran by students, so it's a club. It mimics the actual association, actual California Teachers Association. And so they do run conferences, they run workshops. I think it's a great opportunity once to connect peers again. Two, if you want to be, if you want a leadership sort of role, this is an opportunity to do that in the context of being an educator. Yeah, they do a lot of dope things. Well, I know one of their most popular workshops is how to become a substitute teacher, and they help students who are interested in that process get the application going, go through all the requirements. So I would say for sure this is a good to get involved with once you are at Fullerton. As an aside, once you are at 90 units, there are a few more qualifications, having the requisite grades in certain areas. But even if you don't have that, you can make it up a testing. But once you are at 90 units, you are eligible to become a substitute teacher as an undergrad. I know a lot of people aren't aware of that, even ones who have wanted to become teachers, have been on this path because it's a pretty new change. I would for sure go into that. Great way to get experience in the classroom, test out your classroom management skills. You get to network, make a little bit of money. So yeah, I highly recommend substitute teaching, even if you're kind of apprehensive or on the fence about teaching. I think it's a great way to figure out if it's for you. All right, the last project or the last program that we have is called Project Propel. This is for all our future bilingual teachers, right? This is ran by Ruben Romero, another one of our advisors. And I know that what he likes to say when he's presenting on his program is that the number one thing is you need to have confidence in your ability to teach in the second language. It does not mean you need to be super fluent in it. You just need to be confident in it, right? So what he does is he has support programming for students who are future bilingual educators. He'll have book clubs, side chats, where students just talk about what it's like being on that pathway. Um, Class recommendations. So he does academic advising related to bilingual teachers. And again, just talks to them about the actual bilingual authorizations, which is something you can tack on once you're into a credential program. It would only add a couple classes and maybe a test in that language, and you would have that authorization. And it would allow you to teach in dual immersion classrooms, to teach in second language classrooms, right? And that just expands your marketability, will make you more money once you're applying for teaching jobs. So I highly recommend if you're even semi-bilingual to get this authorization and join Project Propel. You can follow him on Instagram at CHF_Project Propel, right? So in your head, just think about this real quick, how much teachers make, how much you think teachers make in their first year. I've got some wild answers when I do this. I think someone one time said 15 or 16 an hour for 40K, all kinds of numbers. So these are the actual numbers. This is for just a few of the school districts in Orange County, right? But I would say it's pretty good. As someone who's at this point, you would be a year or two removed from your bachelor's. You have your bachelor's, a year, one post bachelor's, 2 semester credential programs, and then you'd be eligible for these salaries, right? So I think makes our teaching credential program cool is the fact that yet, I mean, you're going to have to go into a post-bachelor credential program, which is not the case with some schools, right? Some schools you can get your credential at the same time you get your bachelor's. But when you get your credential after, what you have is you have a bachelor's plus however many units, right? 24 or 30, all right? Because you're taking units after your bachelor's in our credential program. And what that does is it opens you up to making a bit more money down the line, right? What you'll see, for example, Banana Unified, you won't see the difference here because this is the first year salary, and so it's the same. So what you will see is once you go down to year 3 or 4 or 5, if you're in Santa Ana Unified, that's where you see the difference between someone who got their credential and their bachelor's at the same time, and then someone who got their credential after. So that person will start making about $3, $4, $5,000 more than the person who got their credential at the same time as the bachelor. So all in all, and then this isn't even including benefits, which even I don't think it's too much. It's a pretty decent gig in California. All right, some high need areas of teaching. Talked about it, bilingual authorization is a huge thing. California is making a big push to increase the number of bilingual teachers they have. There's a scarcity in it and there's a huge need for it. And so they're really trying to get anyone, or really pushing for teachers to get that authorization. If you teach STEM subjects, that's always going to be in demand. Special education is also in high demand. That's the only credential where you can get paid while you're going to the credential program. All the other ones, the student teaching isn't paid, but with special education, there's an option as an intern to get paid while you're going through your school, right? And in teaching in areas outside of Orange County, I know LA County right next door. I mean, there's a teacher shortage in a general sense, but it's more severe in certain districts than others. And LA County is one of them. All right. Transferring to CSUS. Now let's talk about a little bit about your next steps, right? Meeting the minimum eligibility requirements. And for spring 26 transfers, we'll talk a little bit about some dates here, right? Just some basic core general stuff, right? You need to have your 60 units transferred, a qualifying GPA, which I believe is 2.5 for us. Be in good standing with the last college or university you attended, and then 10 GE courses with a grade of a C minus or better. All right. So the golden score, I just wanted to make sure I had both checked here because certain students started, of course, you guys have different catalogs here, you start at different times. And so has a different technology. Names a bit different now. Just some transfer information for fall 2026 transfers. The application window is opening up, right? We're a little bit less than a month away from that. So look out for that. In spring 2027, right? It's ways a bit away, but you do want to start thinking now, what major do you want to declare, and sort of start thinking about what that pathway looks like for you and what you can be doing in the semesters leading up to that to make sure that you are ready for that.
Question, Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Can you go back 2 previous slides, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
The next one, sorry.
Oh,
Perfect, thank you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so while we're here, I'm gonna stay on this for like 30 seconds. Substitute teaching, the requirements are you need to have 90 units and you need to have a grade of B minus or better in GE areas A2, A3, B4, or in the new pattern, 1A, 1B, and 2. All right. Now, if you don't have a grade of B minus or better in those areas, it's not the end of the world. You would just have to take the appropriate CBEST test for that. So if you have a B minus or better in writing, in the reading GE areas, you just need to take the math one. $30. It's not the most difficult test in the world relative to some other state tests. So that would be the pathway to becoming a substitute teacher as an undergraduate student.
Got it, cool.
No problem. All right, just some dates for my fall 2026 transfers. Again, the window opens up in about a month or so, right? And then it goes from there. Deadline to change your majors. I think the dates are a bit off from our website. Let's change that to 2026 and we'll be fine. Yeah, again, you don't need to worry about taking detailed notes on this or any pictures. I'll have your information from Emily, and then I'll be able to send you these slides afterwards. You can send me any questions you guys if you have any. All right, I will be hosting the Next Steps workshop for students who were admitted for the spring 2026 semester. Just some things specific to Fullerton that help you get ready, some things specific to future teachers. So if you want to, please register. The QR code is right here, or you can type in the link. If you don't get this by the time I'm done with this slide, don't worry about it. Like I said, you'll have an opportunity to register for it once it's emailed to you shortly after this is over. Yeah, I'm gonna be running this workshop. I haven't fully fleshed it out. Still trying to figure out exactly what you guys might need to hear. But it's gonna help prepare you again just to transition through here pretty smoothly. All right, I'm also offering drop-in advising. I do this once a week. I try to split it to hours, but I do it for 2 hours a day. It's only for community college students. All you got to do is find that Zoom link, log on, and I'll talk to you right away. If I'm not talking to you right away and advising you, so there's someone who I'm already talking to, you just kind of wait in the queue and I'll get to you. But it's pretty open-ended. And there's no set amount of appointment time. I do it for 2 hours, and you can just ask anything related to just transferring to Fullerton. Anything related to, again, the pathway to becoming a future teacher, any kind of requirements, course recommendations, anything like that. So yeah, my virtual drop-in advising. My next one will be in 2 days, Thursday from 2 to 4. If you can make that, you can look at the dates on the flyer. I also have it on the CCT website. So if you go on the Center for Inclusive Teaching site, under the advising tab, you'll find this here. Lastly, yes, so this QR code is just the biggest general one that we have. This is for our interest list. It'll send you any sort of updates that we have on our programs, anything that's changing, anything news, any sort of event, anything like that. Any kind of general questions about the center or about the teaching pathway. If you don't want to ask me, if you want to see if someone else has an answer, you can email us at cct@fullerton.edu, right? We are on the third floor of the education classroom, so if you ever want to stop by and visit, third floor, hit a right, and that's our area right there. Then you can see all our socials on the right side for all our programming, for our college, or for our dean. If you just want to stay updated with it. All right, so that concludes my part of presenting to y'all and talking to you about pathways and programs. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Let me check the chat to see if there's anything here.
Mr. Thomas, are you plugged in within all the programs that Fullerton offers? Like with the Titan Fullerton teachers or the future teachers or the men of color in education?
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't
cool.
run those programs, but I am familiar with them. Project Propel,
Uh-huh.
maybe a bit less so. I have less involvement with it. But the other two, Titan Future Teachers and Men of Color in Education, yeah, you'll always see me at those events. I'm always helping out wherever I can.
Sounds good. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And then just a quick question too, Mr. Thomas. For the
Yeah.
liberal studies, do you mind going over just a couple of things? Just like the major
Um,
things?
in what sense?
Just going over like what we need or like the classes or just general information.
Yeah, so hold on, give me 1 second for that.
Thank you.
Um, Hold on, I'm gonna try to share again in a second.
And then really quickly while they're looking for that, if any of you are interested in Project Propel or the bilingual authorization, we do have Cal State Fullerton coming back on September 23rd, and they're going to be presenting on that specifically. If you see the emails, they have the registration link, but that is them coming back later this month if you're interested in that one too.
Good. Thank you, Emily. All right. This isn't part of the presentation. I think it's an accession document though. So I will attach. But so this just outlines just top to bottom all the prerequisites, deadlines for our program. I know, Rob, you asked specifically about liberal studies. So I don't do major advising, and so I couldn't tell you too much about the specific classes that you should be taking as liberal studies major, although I can give you the advisor for that. But in a general sense, I would say, so if you're a liberal studies major, I'm assuming you also want to go into elementary education, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, these are our requirements. I would say it breaks down in a general sense of two. There's two big pieces of the puzzle. There are the courses you need to take,
Uh-huh.
and just for elementary, there's these five right here, or four. And then there's subject matter knowledge and competency, which is demonstrating you have enough knowledge to teach whatever subject it is you want to teach, right? So let's say as a liberal studies, elementary emphasis, elementary school settings, concentration or emphasis, right? By virtue of that, this will already be taken care of just because they're probably will take a test for it at some point, right? Ethnic studies is a graduation requirement for most students given their catalog year, so that should be taken care of. And so it's a matter of these two courses here, right? These are two pedagogical courses teaching you how to be a teacher.
Okay.
In the slide, yeah, I talked about, so Rio Hondo does offer the equivalent of this course.
Yes, they do.
Right. Yeah. So you can take that if you haven't already, and that gives you a head start on the prerequisites for our credential program. Right. And then the other big piece of the puzzle, the subject matter knowledge and competency part, luckily, if you are, let me see if I can pull this up, actually. Right. So these four majors are the most common majors for future elementary school teachers. Right. And so the first three you'll see on here, urban learning, child and adolescent studies, and liberal studies with their specific tracks, waive you from having to take the CSET exams. So if you look here, one of the ways you can demonstrate, whatever subject you want to teach, will have to teach it is by passing the CSET. A lot of students will have to do if they're not in one of those three majors. Even different service programs require people to take some kind of Yeah, that's kind of in a broad general sense, the majors that would help streamline your pathway into the program and sort of what classes you can take now. Right. For my future high school teachers, it's not too different. You still have the ethnic study requirement. It's just the pedagogical course is different. You're taking 4 instead of 2, and there's secondary education classes, of course, not elementary education. Hope that helps out.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. There's a question in the chat. Are we able to complete our bachelor's and also do our credentialing program? Yeah, so with us, that's not an option, unfortunately. Or yeah, I don't know why I say unfortunately. So some schools operate. It's really just whatever vision the school has or college education for how they want their program structured. I don't know too much about Long Beach State's program, but I do know that they have an option where you can get your credential and your bachelor's at the same time, right? Sounds pretty grueling, so I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't know what that looks like, but they do have the option for us. Again, like I said, we like to make sure that we're not teaching any sort of our credential program teachers or faculty aren't teaching any specific aren't teaching content, but just preparing our candidates for how to become teachers. Right? So yeah, unfortunately that's not us, but I mean if that was your option, you can kind of look on and see if that's the ideal pathway for you. Cool. Good question though. Yeah, no problem with that, Dana. Cool. Any other questions?
And a quick question, Mr. Thomas. You said the credential program is about 2 semesters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. I can pull up a sort of general overview of what that looks like real quick. Yeah, so real quick, you'll see a 3-semester option here. I've only been here 8 months, so I have not seen a single person take this 3-semester program, so I won't even go into it. But the 2-semester program, in a general sense, is what this looks like: 10 weeks of coursework and fieldwork, followed by 5 weeks of full-time student teaching. The second semester is 7 weeks of coursework and fieldwork, followed by 8 weeks of full-time student teaching. And once those 2 semesters are up, you have your credential and you can apply to any California public school district as a teacher.
Sounds good, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say, and this isn't specific to our program, but generally the thing with teaching credential programs is it becomes a bit difficult to have a part-time or full-time job while you're doing the student teaching part of it, right? Student teaching part of it, you'll be mimicking and you'll be with an actual teacher and you'll be on their schedule. And then once that day is over, you'll be going to Fullerton for your evening seminars, lectures, whatever they might be. Right.
I see.
But I will say, so they do overview sessions where they go over that in more detail. But they are trying to pilot different sort of programs. I know one of our students who graduated this past spring. She's only on campus, I want to say like 2 or 3 days a week. So whatever sort of program she's on doesn't have her at the school 4 or 5 days a week. Now at her school site, I think she's there every single day, doing the student teaching part of it. But she does have the leeway to, when she doesn't have that, work in the evenings, it's not as rigorous,
hectic,
not at Fullerton all the time. So yeah, there's options. They'll work with you. They're always trying to push things up to make it work for students.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions on our pathways programs or anything like that? Like I said, I'm be sending you the slide and also a couple anything that I've showed you here, I'm gonna send it to you. So even the stuff that wasn't in the slide, things I have up here now, I'll make sure to get out to you. There's a link here in action document. Yes, Emily, you can be included in that follow-up email for sure. As long as you provide your email, yeah, I got you. Cool. All right. I think I'm gonna stop sharing now here. If you have any other questions, again, just reply to the email that I send with the slides and everything else. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for coming out for sure. I'm still kind of new. I've only been here 8 months, so I haven't even done too many solo presentations. So yeah, thanks y'all for being cool, asking good questions. Hopefully I can see y'all at Fullerton, maybe see you at one of these events. Type to the teachers, one for you, for you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Emily, of
Thomas.
course.